Ryan Holiday, thank you so much for this interview, for this time, in order for us to talk a little bit about the modern world, the business world, leadership, and media. That's, I think, one of the most important and pressing issues in our times. So thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me.
Ryan, why do you think that Stoicism and the Stoic movement has been right now catching up in a big moment? I mean, there are a lot of Asian philosophies, and there's philosophies about Plato and Aristotle and many other philosophers. I mean, it's never gone away.
Sure.
But why do you think that in the digital era, Stoicism has caught up so much, and it has so many people interested in this issue?
I think Stoicism, unlike most of the other philosophies, is primarily about dealing with adversity, dealing with uncertainty, dealing with people, right? It's a philosophy that you're supposed to use as opposed to a sort of set of interesting thought exercises. And so I think we have often seen a resurgence of Stoicism in times like these. Marcus Aurelius is writing during the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Cato is there during the fall of the Roman Republic, during the destabilization and also the excitement of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. During the American Civil War, you tend to see Stoicism have a resurgence in popularity when people are sort of looking around and going, I feel shaken, I feel disoriented, I feel destabilized. And so I think, we're living in a time of technological disruption, we're living in a time of economic uncertainty, we're living in a time of political instability. And I think Stoicism, provides a framework for how to live through that.
Does it have to do with identity?
What do you mean?
The loss of identity, I mean, with nationalism, with religions, not having, the answer for modern issues.
I do think...
And maybe like sometimes you find in Stoicism a sort of identity and belonging?
I mean, unfortunately, I think nationalism is on the rise. But generally, when you see a decline in religion, you see a decline in civic institutions, when you see even tears in the social fabric, people look for something to go, this is who I am, this is what's right and wrong, this is how I should behave, this is, the path to the good life. I think, even educationally, we tend to teach a lot of facts and figures, right? We teach skills, or we teach, what we don't teach is like, this is how to be a good person. This is how to deal with a world that feels like it's falling apart. This is how to deal with fear and anxiety and stress, right? This is how to be a good person. And I think historically religion, obviously, for a good chunk of human history, we had the pagan gods. Then we had this unique period in Athens and Greece where you had philosophy, and then you had the rise of Christianity and the major religions. But as I think the influence of those falls away, particularly I think for young people, that might be why we're seeing a resurgence in philosophy.
Ryan, we are living in a world that asks for so much passion of what you're doing, and be passionate about your work, be passionate about your life, be passionate about your personal and work life. How does that reconcile with this Stoic principle that not getting rid of passions and living free from passions coincide with modern times?
Well, I do think most of the problems that we have are rooted in passions, right? They are, people's strong opinions, people's, tribalism, people's irresponsibility. These are all rooted in, I think, the dangers of what the ancients would have called the passions. And, Stoicism is not emotionlessness, but it is trying to be less emotional or less driven by one's emotions. So, the Stoics weren't these robots, but they did try to go, hey, why am I getting worked up about this? Why do I think this is so important? Why am I putting everything I have into achieving this or, taking this? And I think Stoicism was a framework for trying to be a bit more rational and self-controlled about these things. The Stoics believed that to be in a position of leadership or responsibility, you had to first be a leader of yourself. You had to have command of oneself. And I think when we look, unfortunately, at many of the world leaders today, they might be in charge of countries or armies or big organizations, but at some level they're not in command of themselves.
Insecure.
Yeah, I mean, look, Elon Musk is a great example of this. He's obviously a brilliant person, an incredibly successful person, but he can't not have a thought and then not tweet it, you know? And I think the Stoics would have looked at that as fundamentally a great weakness. And ultimately, I think on a historic level, we would see that as being likely the seeds of that person's downfall. So look, it's good to care about what you're doing. It's good to be passionate in that sense, but passion is also something we have to be wary of because it blinds us. It cuts us off from reality, and it can make us do very dangerous things.